Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I want to go ahead and react to ESPN's top 100 players for the upcoming season. Basically, every single year, they go through and rank the top 100 players. They release it over the course of a few days, and today they have finally released the full list, and people are mad about it on Twitter, which is always the case. These lists always get a ton of attention, mainly because there are some weird decisions, really bad ones specifically here and there, that are purposely generated to get people talking about it, which I guess I'm kind of doing now, but I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to go ahead and react to this. I'm not taking it too seriously and just talk about some of the decisions, some of the players, the weird rankings on here, and just kind of get y'all's opinions on this list. Also just gives me a chance to talk about a lot of players going into the season, which is now less than 2 weeks away. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. For the first 50 or so players, I'm not going to talk too long about them because the difference between the 100th ranked player and the 96th, you're splitting hairs at that point. Also, rankings are just hard in general. There's a reason I don't usually do rankings here on the channel, because everyone has different criteria and things they value with players. Anyways, we can go ahead and get into it. So the way they did it is they had their expert panel. I don't know how many people that is or who the experts are, but they voted on individual matchups. So would you rather have this player or that player for all these different guys? And they went ahead and took those rankings, who won the most, and then ranked them 1 through 100. That's the way it's set up. It says it's comprised of nearly 150 reporters. So there you go. At number 100, we have Mitchell Robinson, 99 Jonas Valanciunas, Sexton here at 98. A lot of guards over there in Utah. They've got some stuff to figure out with Keontae George, him, Clarkson, his THT part of the future. Grant Williams at 97, big addition for the Mavericks. 96, you got Harrison Barnes. 95, you have J-Dub. I'm a Thunder fan. I'm biased. I think J-Dub could be way higher than this upcoming season. I believe he's a big-time breakout candidate. This is also projecting for the upcoming season, so if you're seeing a player really low, even though they just had a great season, maybe they're not projecting them to replicate that, or they're just projecting other players to be better this upcoming season. So keep that in mind, and with that in mind, I think this is way too low for J-Dub. Again, I'm biased. I'm a Thunder fan, but I don't think I'm alone in thinking this is probably kind of low. Westbrook at 94, I think he could also be higher. He had a great playoffs, was really good with the Clippers after a slow start with the Lakers. I guess it was a small sample size, so maybe that's the reason. He's also getting up there in age. Mike Conley at 93, Quickly at 92, Josh Hart at 91. He was big for the Knicks. John Collins at 90. I'm guessing they're just projecting him to bounce back because he was not the 90th best player last year. He was lower. Really rough season from Collins. Hopefully he does bounce back. New Blazer, Robert Williams at 89, Kevon Looney at 88. Honestly, both those rankings are probably a bit low for those guys. I think they're both very impactful. 87 is Buddy Hield, maybe kind of low. I'm not sure. Again, it's hard to say without seeing the rest of the list. 86, Kyle Kuzma, again, another player I want to say is kind of low. And then again with Simons, I think he also could be low. Specifically Simons because he's young, Dame's gone. I think he could have a monster season. Capella at 84, Tobias Harris at 83, Cam Johnson at 82. Cam Johnson could have a really big year for the Nets. Got a bag this offseason. Portis at 81. This one also feels low. Another young guy, Jalen Green at 80. This one depends on what you're projecting for Jalen Green. I believe with the addition of Fred VanVleet, which they note here in this little description that they give for each players, but I think Green could have a big-time season now having a point guard like Fred VanVleet alongside him. I think the team as a whole is just going to be more talented between jumps from maybe Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Şengün, Ime Udoka there. I think the team's going to be a lot better, which could help Jalen Green have a better season. So I think he could definitely exceed this ranking, but it's also hard to gauge because they have so many young players that could develop and get better and take touches away from him. Hero at 79, Scoot at 78. I'm a big Scoot fan. This may be high above Jalen Green and Hero, depending on what seasons they have, but I've said before, I think Scoot could be amazing from day one, so that might not be the case. Clarkson at 77, Chris Paul at 76 up here. I do think he's going to be really good for the Warriors. I think people have called him a bit too washed, but 76 might be a bit high. We'll see. Vooch at 75, Cade at 74. This definitely feels low because I'm one of the people who believes Cade's going to have a monster season. They say he dropped. He played just 12 games last year, so they're not sure what he's going to look like this upcoming season, which makes sense, but I think Cade's going to have a great year. My guy Chet here at 73. Wow, another rookie here already on the list. I mean, maybe. I've said before, I think Chet's going to be an amazing defender from day one. In that first preseason game, Chet was a monster. So if he shows out like that, he could even exceed this ranking. We'll have to see again with OKC. We've got a lot of players that I think could take jumps, so it's interesting. Jordan Poole at 72, could have a big year. RJ Barrett at 71, might be a bit high. I'm not seeing the jump coming from Barrett. I just don't know if it's ever going to come, like that jump he takes where he becomes a star caliber player. They definitely need him to get more consistent from three, just overall offensively, to be the best version of himself. Walker Kessler at 70, huge rookie season from him, one of the league's best young rim protectors. I think that's fine for him. Brook Lopez at 69. He was better than that last year, but he is old, so we'll see. Michael Porter Jr. at 68. OG Anunoby at 67. Okay. Reeves up here at 66. Big time jump from him. Yeah, we'll have to see if he can replicate what he did at the end of the year. I think he definitely will. Miles Turner at 65 had an underrated season last year, and I think he could be really, really good. I like this ranking for Miles Turner. Could even be higher. Rudy Gobert down from 18 to 64. One of the biggest falls on this list. Yeah, I mean, the fit between him and Cat is weird. I think it is better than people realize, but I still think it's kind of clunky. We'll have to see what they do in a first full season together because Cat hardly played last year. Scotty Barnes at 63. Yeah, not the best sophomore campaign. I don't think he was that bad, but we'll see. Kristaps at 62 is really low. Kristaps was really good last year. Like, he was borderline all-star. I think he should be top like 35, 40. Maybe they're taking injuries into account. Maybe that's part of this. Doesn't say anything here in this thing. I mean, I guess it is kind of like, which player would you take? So are the people that are making this list, are they taking into account injuries? Like, oh, I don't want to take this guy over that guy because he could be injured, maybe. Desmond Bane at 61 also feels low. Bane could be really good. He is really good. Yeah, like I think Bane's better than Marcus Smart, for sure. I'm taking Desmond Bane over Marcus Smart. I really like Marcus Smart's game, but Bane is extremely underrated in my opinion. Jeremy Grant, I didn't even talk much about DeJounte Murray up there at 60, I think it was. Jeremy Grant here at 58. Zion at 57 is crazy. Again, I guess this is a case of injuries, maybe? I don't really know, because Zion at 57 feels insane to me. That feels really low for Zion Williamson. I understand he's been hurt, but when he's played, he's a monster. It says the Pelicans' forward drop in rankings is directly tied to his games played. Okay, I guess. If you're going to take into account injuries, that makes sense, but when healthy, Zion's a top 15 player in my eyes, so I think he could shatter that ranking if he plays this season more than he has in the past. Fred VanVleet at 56 feels high. Draymond at 55. Wiggins at 54. Those two teammates right next to each other. Giddey, my guy, here at 53. Okay, they're looking for a jump from Giddey. Franz Wagner at 52. I said in my Magic video recently, I think he could take a big jump. Aaron Gordon at 51. Okay, that's the top 49. We'll go ahead and move on now to the next article, which is players 50 to 11. Spent longer on that one than I wanted to. We'll move a little bit quicker here. Jared Allen at 50. Okay, jumps a couple of spots. Might be kind of high for Jared Allen. I don't know. I don't really know. Again, it's tough. It's splitting hairs a lot. DeAndre Ayton here at 49. I think he could have a really big season. I think he could even be higher than this. LaMelo at 48, which right off the bat feels low. He didn't play a ton last season, which again is probably playing into this. But when healthy, I think LaMelo's a lot higher than this. Vic at 47. Wow. It might be kind of crazy to some people. I don't think this is that wild. Above LaMelo is interesting. We'll have to see how LaMelo looks in a full season again. But Vic could be amazing from day one. I think he could be fighting for an all-star spot in his first season, so I don't think this is that crazy. I'm sure some people do. Chris Middleton at 46. We'll have to see how he comes off injuries. Julius Randle at 45. He's a weird player because he was just all NBA, second team, but whenever it gets to playoffs, he's really rough. So Julius Randle is a great case of how do you balance regular season play, which he was great in, versus playoff play, so I don't know. I can't tell if that's too low. CJ McCollum at 44. I think it's too high. If you ask me, I don't think he should be above. He definitely should not be above Zion Williamson. Even without injuries, I'm still taking Zion. James Harden here at 43. Yeah, he fell 32 spots. Wow. Rough fall for Harden. Well, yeah, we'll have to see what happens if he even plays for the Sixers this season. They've got Maxey above him. Is that taking into account like the trade requests and stuff? Because I think Harden's still definitely better than Maxey. Harden's too low. Clay at 41 feels very high. The thing is, he was great shooting the ball last season, like one of his best three-point shooting seasons. The problem is the defense just does not exist anymore, or is not nearly the level it used to be. Maybe he has a big bounce back defensive season, which in that case, deserving of this spot, maybe even higher. But we'll have to see. Again, last season was his first year coming off those major injuries, so we'll have to see in his second full year. Mobley here at 40, I think he could be higher than this. I think Mobley should be higher than this, if you ask me. DeMar DeRozan at 39. Zach LaVine at 38, teammates back-to-back. We'll see if they last the season as Chicago Bulls. Bradley Beal at 37. Higher than LaVine and DeRozan, I don't know about that. Garland at 36 also feels low. Garland's really good. I don't think people realize how good Garland is. Ja at 35. This has to be taking the suspension into account, because there's no way Ja Morant is the 35th ranked player in the league. Ja Morant is ridiculous. There's absolutely no way. If you have to be taking the suspension into account. You have to be. Kyrie at 34. Okay, Mikal at 33. Mikal he's not above, I don't think he's above Kyrie. I don't think he's above Ja Morant. And Mikal's great. He was amazing at the end of last season, but I think I need to see like a full season of him doing it in Brooklyn at a high level before I'm putting him above like Ja Morant and Kyrie Irving. I can't put him in that spot quite yet. Brunson at 32, and don't take that as Mikal Bridges slander, because Mikal is great. He's one of my favorite players in the league at this point. Jalen Brunson at 32, I think Brunson could be even higher than this. Jaren Jackson at 31, reigning depoy. Paolo at 30, wow. Okay, they're big believers in Paolo, and I mean, I am too. Again, if you watch that Magic video, Paolo was really, really good last year. I think he could be an all-star type player this season. It's not that crazy at all. It's, you know, he's above Jaren, the reigning depoy, Jalen Brunson, who was really good last year, Kyrie, Garland, Ja Morant, Mikal Bridges. You might be able to say he's a bit high, but if you're really high on him, this probably isn't that crazy of a spot for Paolo. Trae Young at 29. I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back season from Trae Young. I think he has gotten underrated by a lot of people. Trae is still one of the best playmakers and scorers in the league. I think he's going to show that again this year. It's going to be a big season for Trae to prove a lot of the doubters wrong, if you ask me. Lowry up here at 28. He had a monster season. We'll have to see if he can replicate the same thing in a second year. But if he does and gets better, then yeah, this makes sense. Ingram at 27. No picture for Brandon Ingram, I guess. Another guy who's dealt with injuries for the Pelicans. We talk a lot about Zion's injuries, but Ingram's also been pretty injured as of late. Drew Holiday at 26. NBA rank has not changed. Might be like the first guy on the list that hasn't changed rankings. He's going to be huge for the Celtics. I'm going to have a video coming out soon all about the Celtics and why Drew Holiday is huge for them. So be on the lookout for that. I think he's underrated by a lot of people. Pascal Siakam at 25. Another underrated player. Kawhi at 24. Again, they've got to be taking into account injuries, because if he's healthy, Kawhi is a monster. It's always the problem, though, with the Clippers. We haven't seen Paul George yet, have we? Are they putting Paul George above Kawhi? Because, okay, I don't want to spoil it too much. We didn't see Paul George, did we? Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe Paul George already was on here. We'll see in a moment. But if you're talking about injuries, Kawhi's definitely better than Paul George. Number 23, we've got De'Aaron Fox. Fox was amazing last year. Sabonis at 22. I would put Fox above Sabonis if you ask me. I think he's just a little bit... The clutch factor specifically with De'Aaron Fox, how Sabonis kind of struggled in the playoffs this past year, I would put Fox above Sabonis. But again, they're teammates, both very impactful. Makes sense that they're there. Tyrese, the two guys that were in the trade together, Sabonis and Tyrese together there. Tyrese comes in at number 21. Towns at 20 is high, if you ask me. He did not have... Well, he hardly played. I mean, maybe they're thinking because of his injury last year, Cat will be better this season. Cat wasn't phenomenal last year comparative to some of his other seasons. I think Cat could have a bounce back year, but I think I'm taking a couple of guys that they just put below him above Cat at this point. Jaylen Brown here at 19. I do think Jaylen Brown has gotten underrated. I think this is a fine spot for him. Paul George at 18 feels really high when you compare it. Like, this isn't a bad spot for Paul George overall when healthy, but Kawhi is so much lower, and they've both had injury issues. I don't know. It's weird to me. It feels like they took into account Kawhi's injuries way more than Paul George's. Jamal Murray at 17. Like, this also feels high. I think I might take De'Aaron Fox over Jamal Murray at this point. It's close, though, because Jamal Murray is the ultimate case of regular season versus playoffs. We talked about Julius Randle being something similar. Jamal Murray's like, he's good, like pretty good. in the regular season, but you put him in the playoffs, he is phenomenal. If you value that a lot, then this makes sense. Bam here at 16. Donovan Mitchell up here at 15. Okay, he had an amazing season. Dame at 14 feels low. Dame just had one of the best seasons of his career, arguably the best individually, so it feels low. And at 13, so they're looking for a big jump from Anthony Edwards, which, yeah, I would expect that too. But having him above Damian Lillard at this point, above Donovan Mitchell, like, I think Ant should be a little bit lower if you ask me. Again, it's super close. Like, Ant could certainly surpass that and be the 13th best player in the league this season. I think we see a monster year from him this year, especially from what we saw from him in the playoffs against the Nuggets. But for right now, I think it's a little bit high. Jimmy Butler here at 12, another player that scored really fast. Another player that is another case of regular season versus playoffs. He's just going to chill in the regular season. And then Devin Booker here at 11. Yeah, I guess Book to me kind of feels like a top 10 player, so we'll see. Now we've got the top 10 players in the league. At number 10, we've got Anthony Davis. Okay, I'll have to see who's above him. 9 is LeBron. If you ask me, I think at this point, 80 is above LeBron James just with the two-way impact. He just had an amazing year, 80. The year that we've been looking for from Anthony Davis, really since he had that amazing run with LeBron out there in the bubble. That felt like the moment where LeBron was going to pass the torch and AD would become the next player for the Lakers. He would become maybe the best player in the league. It didn't happen, but Anthony Davis was really good last season. I think he's a bit better than LeBron. We've got my guy Shea here at 8. You know me, again, Thunder fan, huge Shea Gilgeous-Alexander fan, have been for a while. 8 might be a little bit, if we're talking about right now, probably a little bit too high. If we're talking at this moment, I think Shea's probably around like 12-ish, around that range. But if you think Shea can take a jump, I mean, yeah, Shea has taken a jump every year of his career. He just took one of the biggest jumps in the league this past season, went from a borderline all-star type player to a bona fide all-star and all-NBA first-teamer. Shea was amazing. I think he's deserving of being in this top 10 conversation. He got better defensively too. Really the only weakness that he has right now is he's not like a volume 3-point shooter, which is also by design because he's so good inside the arc. So we'll have to see what he does this year. I mean, I'm not going to argue it. I'm a big Shea fan. I think it's a little high at the moment, but with the jump he could take this upcoming year, I don't think this ranking is that crazy, which I'm sure people on Twitter are going to say that it is. Kevin Durant here at 7. Okay. Jason Tatum at 6. Durant versus Tatum is interesting. Durant's getting older. He's been really injury prone. So I guess if you're taking into account injuries, yeah, that makes sense between him and Jason Tatum. It's close though. I could see an argument either way. Steph at 5 feels kind of low for Steph Curry. Luke at 4. It's tough because Luka's young and could take a jump. I think right now I'm taking Steph over Luka, but it is really close. They are the two best guards in the league right now, if you ask me. It's really close between these two. I think you could put them either way. I'd probably have Curry above Luka. Joel Embiid, reigning MVP at number 3. A lot of people aren't going to like this one because, again, with the playoffs thing, and he has dealt with injuries, but he is the reigning MVP. I don't think this is that crazy. Jokic at 2 is very surprising. So Giannis is at 1. I think Jokic has to be 1 going into the season. After what he just did, one of the most dominant playoff runs that we've seen in quite some time, what he did in the finals, the way he proved all of his doubters wrong, Jokic should be number 1 if you ask me. And that's coming from someone that coming into this past season thought Giannis was like unanimously the number 1 player in the league. I believe that Jokic should probably be number 1 here. He has to be. Jokic should be number 1. Giannis should be number 2. In my opinion, those are the top 2 guys. And then you've got like Embiid, you've got Luka, you've got Steph, like Durant, Tatum. Like that group of guys I think are also like the next players up. But yeah, that's the list. Thinking about some of the weirder decisions, again, Jokic being up there, I think Steph should probably be higher. Anthony Davis should probably be a little bit higher here on this list. We go back deeper into the rankings. Devin Booker feels low at that point. Ant definitely feels high. Dame at 14 is crazy after the year he just had. Who were some of the other ones? Ja Morant, I remember, was way too low, if you ask me. Paul George being that much higher than Kawhi Leonard, despite both of them having injury issues, is super strange. There's just some weird decisions. I think there's a weird balance between taking injuries into account and not taking them into account. I feel like with some players, or just taking them into account with some players more than others. Yeah, like Ja here at 35 is so low. Like, I know there's the suspension and maybe they are taking that into account, But even still, like, when you have John Morant, he's amazing. Harden feels low at this point. You know, we had like Zion in the top or the bottom 50 players. We go back to this article. Like, yeah, Zion here at 57 is some really out there rankings on this list. I am shocked that Zion is this low. I don't care about injuries. Zion is still really good. Bane is low. Yeah, I think there's certainly a number of underrated players here in the list. Again, it's tough to rank players, so I'm not going to beat up on it too much. But certainly some really bad decisions, which again, I know it's mostly for clicks, so I guess I'm playing into that. But yeah, that would be fun to go ahead and break this thing down. Let me know what your biggest discrepancies were on this list in the comment section down below. Like I said earlier, leave a like and subscribe, or I think I did. This video has been like 20 minutes, I think. I'll leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Really appreciate it. If you want to see more content like this where I break down articles or rankings or things like that, yeah, let me know. I appreciate y'all watching. I still can't believe they put Jokic at 2 rather than 1. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.